So a few weeks ago, I made my first YouTube short about how I ran a half marathon in November of 2022. Still crazy to me because I feel like I just did it, honestly. And yeah, I just wanted to share my thoughts about it. If you're new to running or you're thinking of running a half marathon too, I'm just gonna give it to you straight from someone who was a complete newbie myself and mostly kind of still am. I just want to share with you that it's totally doable. So last February 2022, my friend asked me if I wanted to do a race with her in the fall. And she's like, you want to do the Malibu half marathon in November? Yeah, sure. Not even knowing anything about running or what it entailed. So once I signed up, I'm like, oh, I'm running a half marathon, 13.1 miles in November. I gotta start training. Good obvious answer, you know, for someone who's never run before. But luckily I had a good time buffer. It was February, so 9 months to prepare, which is good. Like, I had never done a race or anything before. I've never done a 5K, a 10K, none of the short normal people races. I mean, it's kind of like cool to say that, oh, I did a half marathon for my first race ever. That's basically what I'm doing now, I guess. Where do you start? Like, what do you do? So thankfully, I had already known about the Nike Run Club app. I literally just clicked half marathon training program and just followed their runs every week. They basically have a countdown to the race, and obviously didn't do all 5 runs every week. In fact, they tell you that you don't have to. You cater it to your lifestyle. For the first few months, I think I did do pretty much almost all 5 runs every week. But then I had like a couple setbacks. I was just getting tired and wasn't feeling good. And then I basically kind of in between those 9 months of training, like took a couple months off, almost the whole summer of 2022, which is not advisable. Like, I just wasn't feeling that good, so I was just listening to my body. I basically stopped running throughout the summer, and then I picked it back up again and only did it maybe like a couple of times a week up until the race. So yeah, and the Nike Run Club app is just, it's great to have that kind of like tracker, check mark that you did the run. It helped me establish, especially at the beginning, a habit that, oh, I should be training at least a few times a week. Do it and complete the run and then have that confirmation that you trained is just really motivating. I feel like that was kind of the only tool I needed to get started. My only motivation for running was the race. I wasn't doing it to lose weight. I wasn't doing it as a part of my exercise routine. In fact, even now, I feel like it's still not really part of my exercise routine per se. It's more of I'm doing it for training purposes for the race. Does that mean that I would not run if I didn't have a race? No, I don't think that's true anymore, because now I do like it and I do like the satisfaction of knocking down a few miles, or the other day I did 7 miles. Like, it just feels really good to say that kind of number. I ran 7 miles. Just download the Nike Run Club app. It's free and it's just a great way to get started. The other thing I would recommend also, if you're new, is having a buddy to do it with. If my friend didn't tell me about the race to sign up for, I honestly don't think I would have started training at all. Every kind of activity needs their why, but sometimes you just want to do something with somebody, and if that's the motivation you need, then just sign up. Just get a friend to sign up with you. Just go all in together, you know what I mean? And if you don't have a friend but you want to like race anyway, sign up for a race, download the Nike Run Club app, start running, and then maybe join a group. There were a few running groups that I'd seen maybe on Instagram or other, and I was like, I was considering doing that, but I was kind of slammed with everything that was going on in my life, so I honestly didn't have as much time to commit to a group, so I was satisfied with running alone. But if you aren't the kind of person who needs to have people when you do stuff, then for sure you have to seek out that support. Otherwise, if you're like me, kind of like a lone wolf thing, you'll be fine. I honestly didn't even run with my friend at all. The whole 9 months of training before the race, I never ran with my friend, which is kind of crazy to think of because I did the race for her, but I never ran with her until the race. So yeah, but I mean, it was fine. Also, while you're doing your running training, I think it's really important to continue to do your strength training, continue to do Pilates and yoga, and mostly stretching. I was really good about stretching before I started running. But then once I started running, for some reason, I'm just like, I already did the thing. I'm not gonna take a few extra minutes to stretch. And I don't know why I did that, but I think it's because I didn't feel it initially. I'm like, oh, I don't feel sore or anything. And maybe I tried to stretch my quads for like 30 seconds and I didn't feel anything. So I'm like, okay, wow, I'm good. You know, but then I kept doing that, and then the stiffness kind of compounded, and then I noticed myself getting stiffer and stiffer. And then it's harder to break that habit of not stretching once you kept not stretching for months on end. So yeah, make sure you do all your other normal workouts you do. Make sure you set time aside every day to foam roll and to stretch. You need to make sure you're doing everything else on top of your running training to make sure that you're in the most optimum health and shape, you know, to be able to keep running for a long time. On the day of the race, I left my home at 3:30 a.m. because we had to be there at like 5:30 a.m. The outfit I wore for the half marathon, I wore my Lululemon leggings, which are my favorite leggings ever, and I wore a camelback, a backpack thing, which I absolutely needed because I need to drink while I'm running. Some people don't need to carry anything and they'll just drink at the drink stations. And then I have just this zip up kind of long sleeve running hoodie from Uniqlo. I tested out the outfit maybe a week beforehand, but honestly, if I have any regrets, I kind of wish I didn't wear it because, first of all, in the pictures, if you can see, it didn't hide my sweat well at all. My nipples were even showing through it, which kind of looked bad in the photos. Mostly it was just, it got hot, even though it's really chilly to start out the day. After you're running for that long, of course you get warm, and of course the temperature starts to warm up outside. And I knew I was making a mistake and that I was kind of a noob because everyone else was just basically wearing shorts and maybe a long sleeve shirt. That's it. By the end, you're like, oh, I get it. That's why they did that. Yeah. I learned my lesson for next long race. I'm definitely going to wear some kind of bike short or something and probably a different shirt. Maybe I'll still wear a long sleeve shirt, but not one with a hoodie because my Uniqlo one was a hoodie and it was terribly uncomfortable kind of underneath my backpack. I didn't feel it at first, but it did get awkward because I was constantly trying to adjust my shirt underneath my camelback and it was just weird. So I'm just not going to do that again. My photos, I wasn't the most happiest with them because of how my outfit looked, but it was okay. It was my first time. It's fine. You gotta make mistakes, you know. Another mistake I feel like I made during the half marathon was that I did not run outside my entire 9 months prior to training. I completely did my training on a treadmill, which is fine, like you can do. It's great, and I'm glad I ran on a treadmill. I'm glad I had a treadmill to run on. I really shot myself in the foot by not getting outside. Outside is just so different from running in a treadmill. Like even on a treadmill, you can control how long you're running, you can control the speed, you can even control the incline, but it's still no challenge for what you're gonna do out there. You need to learn how to control your speed outside. You need to learn how to handle different terrain. The grade and terrain just outside is just completely unpredictable. What looks like flat is never completely flat. And it's good training to put yourself in that situation because then it will help you for no matter what you run. But if you're just running on a treadmill like I did, most of the time, to be honest, I didn't even put an incline. I was just running at 0%. Again, it was fine because I was just new to running and I was just trying to learn to get into the act of running and be able to sustain whatever I was doing. But it didn't help me when I needed to do those hills. The PCH, or the Pacific Coast Highway that the Malibu half marathon is run on, is not flat, and for some reason, I don't know why, like I knew it wasn't going to be completely flat, yet I was just not prepared for it. And luckily because I had built the stamina at least over the 9 months prior, at least I was just able to just do the same slow pace for basically the whole race and just keep it at that. I think I did 13 to 15 minute miles for like the whole thing, which is great, you know. At least when I was going up the hills, I was just not forcing myself to go any faster or anything. But still, it was pretty challenging, you know, and mostly I paid for it the next few days after that because I'm like, wow, I am sore like I've never been sore because I've never ran on a hill. So don't do that to yourself, and if you are starting to run, please try to run at least once a week outside. Trust me, it will make a world of a difference. I feel like the thing I regret about the race is that I didn't really push myself at all. It's funny, you know, because I did another race last month and it was only a 4.3 mile trail race. I was just content with going at the speed I was going. I just wish that I pushed myself more because I feel like I was just jogging for the half marathon marathon and the trail race I just did, I wasn't trying to make a good time. I was mostly just trying to finish. There's no shame in that. You don't have to win the race. You don't have to have the best time. You don't have to even finish it fast. You just have to finish it before the cutoff time for sure. I just wish I tried a little more, you know. I was just like, I'm just gonna run and I'm just gonna make it. I'm just running. You know what? I'm running because I want to get better at running. I want to finish the race doing my best, pushing myself to see like how hard I can go. And again, not that you need to do that, but for me, I feel like you're putting in the time, you're putting in the effort, you're putting in the money, you know, to kind of do this event. You know, you might as well like give it your all. I mostly saw it as like, oh, I'm not trying to win, I'm not trying to beat anyone. It's not even about that. It's about beating yourself. It's about being your best self. It's about accomplishing what was seemingly impossible to you. So now I feel like I have a new motivation for running. I absolutely want to do better and get better for my next run. Anyway, the race was so much fun. My friend and I, we had a blast. We got some good pictures. She finished ahead of me. I actually finished at 3 hours and 5 minutes, and that was actually because I stopped. I decided that I felt like I needed to pee at mile 7 or 8. I ended up having to wait a little bit because there was kind of a line. I realized that I didn't need to stop and I probably shouldn't have, and I probably could have finished before 3 hours if I didn't. So in hindsight, I probably wouldn't stop. You know, when you trick yourself and you're like, oh, I think I need to pee, I should just stop. I had one of those moments. Afterwards, we went to a brewery, we wanted to celebrate, and what's funny is that my friend was hungry right after the race. I, on the other hand, was dead. I felt sick to my stomach and nauseous. I couldn't eat anything until like maybe 3 or 4 hours after the race, actually. Which is funny. Everyone's different. I'm the kind of person who's able to eat before the race. My friend was not. So I actually scarfed down a breakfast before the race, and then I was good for the whole thing. Some people, you know, do the snacks and do the electrolyte pouches or something. I honestly didn't because I just couldn't. I can't get anything down when I'm running, honestly. I also am the kind of person who can't eat after a race either, which is kind of insane. I kind of felt this nausea pretty much the rest of the day, you know. When you put your body just such through an extreme activity, running for that long, 13.1 miles, obviously you're gonna feel it, and it affects everyone differently. So just be prepared to either take a rest, take it easy, just chill the rest of the day, and don't force yourself to eat anything after either. You just listen to your body and do what you think you need to do. It's funny, when I ran the 7 miles the other day just for training purposes, I felt nauseous after that too, because I honestly hadn't run that long since the half marathon. But yeah, I absolutely loved every minute of the half marathon. It was super fun and I would do it again. I want to do a marathon this year, which is a big goal, for going from like a half marathon to a marathon and basically no other races. It's just kind of insane. I kind of have that bug, you know, and I like having something to train for. It gives me something to look forward to. No news on marathon yet, but I'm running a 15-mile trail race in July, so I've already started training for that. I don't know what I've done because first of all, trail racing is kind of way harder than road racing for real. I'm excited for this challenge and I'm putting in the work, you know, so I know I can do it, and I'm gonna push myself to do a good job this time. Not that I did a bad job the last time. I really want to get a good time. I want to finish well before the cutoff time, and I just want to push myself to do a faster mile. So yeah, wish me luck. Anyway, guys, it was so good to talk to you again. I hope this has helped. I hope this maybe will inspire you to sign up for a race yourself this year. Don't be too scared to try. Most of life is just giving it a shot and just committing to it. I signed up for it and I was committed to being able to run it. That just says everything. Like I feel like I really enjoyed the journey, and that's what running's about. So get started and enjoy the journey. Thanks, guys. I'll see you in my next one. Okay, bye.